Let's try this one again. Quick. To expand upon Owen Jones, a wonderful left-wing progressive journalist from the north of England, tells me that the upper of society cause the lower and middle to be racist. They tell us lies, he says, which then we are stupid enough to believe. Well, one will get nowhere overestimating human intelligence, but there is another possibility, maybe more useful, as it needs nobody being stupid or evil to get going. Or just to premise this, I believe that it is an absence of a sense of self or identity that makes us racist. And in Western society, in the society that I live in, I have noticed an absence of people with a sense of self, with an identity. So you can, and we will run around blaming identity politics, and we'll blame this, and we'll blame that, and all the rest of it. But that's what I think the core of the thing is that a human being becomes uncomfortable at some point in their lives, either very young or when the self is promised us. And particularly Western society, with its great successes, has diverted that process, the process by which, at whatever age, it can actually be frighteningly young, a person arrives at themselves and then continues to live. In fact, I think Western society has postponed that until death. Our society, culture, civilization, just throwing it out there, has shorn us of access to identity. It is far gone. It is almost our only obsession. Because we're absent it, we are obsessed about it. And so racism is one, materialism, capitalism, all the rest of it. There are many versions of that disease. What is that? What does it feel like? Whatever am I talking about? To how many associations, unions, churches, clubs, professions do you belong? How many cultures do you claim? How many genders do your friends reflect who you are? Your politics. Who is your enemy? Do you like Waffle House? Is it beneath you? What is your degree in? How many degrees do you have? Who do you love? How many do you love? Are you a mother or a father? Where were you born? Have you ever left? Who is your team? How are they doing? Do you like to be alone? Do you have a daemon? Have you ever changed top to bottom, upside down, been changed by a dream, stopped, arrested in your tracks, the sleeping kind of dream, not the catalogue kind, the advertised kind? Whatever it is that you know is you is none of these. I'm not saying anything guru here, no teaching, no preaching. I'm only saying that at some point in history, just as at some point in your life, you became other things, and you might, if you're blessed, miss yourself. You miss the old songs, the green, green grass of home, the view from the porch, your mom, your dad. You have had no schism, no change of address. You've been left, and if you were ever, and if you were, you wish she'd come home after all these years. You miss stuff, people, your twin. The things you miss is because you don't allow yourself to be transformed by what you've lost. A major facet of our culture. With all this loss and confusion, what does one do? Anyone do? Create, invent, adapt, build, destroy, have children. Funny term, have children, have a family. Create a hierarchy, say, I am this. What is that? I don't know, but I know it's not that. I know I am because I know I'm not you. I love my wife. I have a wife. Then I didn't. I was destroyed. I don't have her anymore. She left me for another. She's a bitch. He is whatever. My father, a gentle, sensible, presentable man, a man of means, was cheated on by his fourth wife. He kidnapped their son and a daughter by a previous husband and came to England where I was. I was 32. He was in terrible need. He ranted for some hours in my living room, clinging to the boy. He ranted. He did not weep. And I watched him create a self out of rage, where another self had never been before. A cultured man, mid-50s, educated, formed by his culture, by England, that great culture, decorated by them. But this fragile self had vacated the temple to be replaced by the one made of rage. Space often found in England. I said to him, I who knew nothing, I said, why don't you take 6 months off? You can afford it, and go away somewhere and be you. Allow you. I know he loved the Aegean, go to Greece, read Homer, etc. He looked at me like I was insane. I had not even dented his armored car, and said, no, I must protect these children from that woman. I must take responsibility. You won't understand. You've never had any responsibility. I thought, so yes, so this man, this formed English man, reforms himself as a protector of children against the evil of his ex-wife. That is a wonderful, common male fantasy. Common Western male fantasy. It's not a self. This was a man with no self, a victim of his circumstances or life, over which his only control was to kidnap a 3-year-old and flee to a son who could not reach him or help. I think my answer should have been, yes, what a bitch, Dad, you're right. We are all here upon this bank and shoal, these men, high or low, rich or poor, taking no medicine, sipping no broth, flailing and looking for ourselves in desperate need, because the place we are hunting is the place where none of this matters, a place that is filled with something else, with you, that we have never allowed ourselves, that monstrous, terrific, gigantic self. So at some point a man possesses, has some land, I have some land that is fertile. He begins to grow, to rent, to sell, to hire. It's the agricultural revolution. The self-search ceases. His relationship to life, to the planet, to the animals and the plants, his fellows, or her fellows, changes. She begins to imagine herself special relative to others, more deserving, more a new deity perhaps gives him another bauble, a golden apple to put him off his hunt. He becomes the monarch, that class, a lord, a lady, a special person who has deserved the fruit without growing the tree, the mammoth T-bone without the hunt. He and she know in their bones this is not true. If they felt themselves really, there would be little or no insistence upon what we all insist upon. We insist upon status, hierarchy, affirmation, confirmation, other people's opinions. Do you love me? Am I cute? Am I thin? Am I tall? Am I talented? So working class racism, to be specific, to separate it from affluent racism, is in my mind a natural response to a great devalued, dehumanized lumpen, whose lumpenness was invented by historians, church fathers, praise singers, intellectuals, aspirers to status, peaks, pinnacles, superiorities, and presidencies that just do not exist. Having grabbed the power in the mouth of the cannon, they then told us on our knees the way of the world, about how lucky we were to be ruled by them, and after a millennia or two of this fictional evaluation and ordering of the universe, the boss decided little else was available to join the bosses, to create their own class system of the lower depths. And after long and relentless pressure, here we are, while the educated management book writing class works hard to convince that this sad state is because those who toil in field or factory haven't climbed the ladder provided by education, etc. They reveal the elitism precisely that turns quickly to racism. Their own false and meaningless relevance will be attempted by the rest who wish to belong to the church, the club, the alumni. There have been and there will be people free of the slimy hold of convention who will laugh at them, and maybe one day they will be publishing, they will get publishing deals, and the sad world will release the imagination of Shakespeare, etc., from the prison of Oxford and its delusions. Now, I come back to education because I do, and I get in trouble for it, and that's fair enough that I have some sort of a bias against it, and I do. Because it's the end of curiosity. I learned to read and to write. After that, the world was my oyster. And I've been thinking and thinking and thinking and creating and being part of my world ever since. I don't need anything else. I don't need any professors. I don't need any mentors to take me to some next level. That's all part of their mythology, that you need us to reach that next level, that special place. There isn't one. There isn't one. Every person I encounter is as mysterious as everyone else. And in that, they are totally equal. I have no time for this gradation, the salaries and the whatever, the plaques on the wall and all that garbage. Because the honest fact is, working in the arts as I do, working in the rather frantic battle of the high arts, it's badly peopled. It's peopled with people with the wrong end of the stick. So, just as settler colonials can only condemn terrorists and never themselves, the successful class can only see racism in others, then imagine themselves clever enough to fool the rest. There are a lot of laughs here, should you choose, the liberal exonerating the poor of criminality because you know where, in fact, they are the least of the cheats. Our most law-abiding, least violent are the working poor. Knock it off. And on it goes, hoist, hoist. As Michael Shannon says in The Wonderful Bike Riders, I don't trust nobody who can't make something with his hands. End quote. While the rest of us don't trust those who do, because it looks to us like witchcraft.